Prison officers hint at industrial action.
We're going to deal with some lawyers and seek some legal advice.
The immigration minister addresses criticisms of the country's deportation process. Poachers, sharks, and a police investigation. We'll tell you what they all have in common. Plus a preview of the Boxing Day Junk Canoe Parade.
It's all about execution. We can beat them in every category there isn't.
Those stories and more coming up. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Cable 12 Studios. Here are the stories coming out of the NB12 newsroom this evening. Members of the Prison Officers Association today hinting at industrial action. Why? Well, the BPOA president says officers were blindsided by the passing of the corrections bill in the House of Assembly on Wednesday. According to Gregory Archer, prison officers feel disrespected by the government.
Reason being, a bill has been passed in Parliament and without the association involvement.
Archer said he last spoke to State Minister of National Security Keith Bell about the bill 2 months ago. He claims it was then that the association was told members of the committee would consult the BPOA before the final draft was made. Archer said the next thing they knew, the bill was passed in the lower chamber and was being debated in the upper chamber. When NB12 asked if the association would take action, Archer said members are exploring its options.
Well, the association represents the welfare of the staff, and that's just what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that the staff is comfortable, our welfare and all our concerns are met.
What do you plan on doing that?
Well, we're going to deal with some lawyers and seek some legal advice before we do anything. I can't say right now, but at the same time, you know, this is national security, so we don't want any problems and we won't cause any problem, but all we seeking is respect.
Archer said, in his opinion, the bill was rushed. He added that it doesn't reflect anything that was discussed in meetings between the association and national security officials. The Correctional Services Bill seeks to ensure inmates at Her Majesty's prisons are engaged in the most modern methods of rehabilitation to ready them for reintegration into society. The bill will repeal the existing Prisons Act and offer more comprehensive, modernized legislation that is expected to be more in line with international standards. Archer said the bill benefits the prisoners more than the prison officers.
Because this bill is our future, is our welfare, and then nobody knows prison better than the prison officers themselves. So we should have a major say.
National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nodded said the government has agreed to review matters relating to tenure for prison officers on the request of the opposition. Nodded said they will come back with whatever amendments are required, if any. Archer called that decision ridiculous, saying the government should seek to get it right the first time. NB12 could not reach either Minister of National Security for reaction up to airtime. Police are investigating an incident that saw Bahamas National Trust divers surrounded by 5 agitated sharks, allegedly due to the illegal actions of local poachers. This morning, the BNT said while divers were underwater doing research, sharks encircled the dive team after poachers threw bait overboard. Dana Smith reports.
The Bahamas National Trust claims a group of Bahamian fishermen deliberately placed divers' lives at risk by attracting large bull sharks to the area where divers were conducting research. And now, the trust is seeking legal action.
We have written to the Commissioner of Police detailing this incident because we are seeking prosecution, certainly for the act which could have resulted in a very terrible situation. The bull sharks are some of the most aggressive, known to be some of the most dangerous sharks, are chumming the water, dropping traps, dropping these massive traps right on the dive buoy where they knew our divers were diving was an intentional act to endanger their lives. It could have ended tragically with them being injured by the trap or their regulator being trapped and then they couldn't breathe, or worse, with the chumming action after they dumped all of their bait, sending sharks into a feeding frenzy with divers below.
The organization claimed not only did this group of fishermen attract 5 large agitated bull sharks by throwing bait fish overboard near the B&T's divers, but they were also fishing for Nassau grouper during the closed season. The trust said the incident occurred this past Tuesday in waters off Long Island. The trust said the sharks encircled the researchers, placing their lives in jeopardy. Carey said the B&T has video and the names of the fishermen they are accusing, having invited them on board the B&T ship the night before the alleged incident to dissuade them from fishing for grouper during the closed season. Although no one was injured, Carey said the trust is calling for the men to be prosecuted, not only for poaching, but for allegedly endangering the lives of the divers.
We believe it was a deliberate act, so we're asking the police to have a discussion, a conversation with these people. And I don't know if there's some charge of reckless endangerment, which could be applied in this case. Certainly, we want the message to be sent to the individuals that we're not going to just stand by and allow this sort of thing to happen.
One of the researchers who was on board the B&T ship when the incident occurred said the trust is happy there were no injuries and said the incident only highlights the detriment of illegally fishing for grouper at spawning sites.
So it was a potentially risky situation. Luckily, no one was hurt, and we're unfortunate that we're saddened that occurred, but we were happy that everyone survived and everyone's okay. It kind of highlights the importance that there needs to be more enforcement at the Nassau grouper spawning aggregation sites throughout the country. We're aware that fishermen need to make money, but there are other species that could be harvested during this period, and we encourage them to do so.
The trust said its reason for making the story public is twofold: to not only call for the prosecution of the fishermen, but to also highlight the illegal fishing of a species whose stocks are on the decline. B&T President Neil McKinney likened the, quote, dangerous actions of the Bahamian fishermen to that of foreign poachers.
And so often we hear Bahamian fishermen complain about Dominicans poaching. These are Bahamians poaching Bahamian fish in the closed season. And of course, if you go and catch 20 grouper throughout the year, that's one thing. But if you go and take grouper from the spawning aggregation, the effect is multiplied, because those are the fish that would be providing the new crop of fish for the coming years. And so it is especially harmful to the species, which are already in serious decline.
We're trying to protect a species so that our Bahamian fishermen will be able to continue to fish this species in perpetuity. So this is not one to come with the cry, oh, you're all trying to stop us from fishing. If we do not stop harvesting pregnant females, there will be no grouper babies. A fisherman with a PhD or any kind of D or no D could understand, if you do not stop harvesting pregnant groupers, there will be no baby groupers to grow up. That's the point that we all have to accept.
Long Island Superintendent Lindy Knowles confirmed police have received a report of the incident, and the matter is under investigation. Knowles said his son, Lindy Knowles, a science officer at the trust, was on board the B&T's boat when the incident occurred. Knowles added he has spoken to one of the fishermen thought responsible, who reportedly apologized, but Knowles said investigations will continue. Reporting for MB12, I'm Dana Smith.
The West Bay Street Club, where an alleged strip club was busted last year, burned to the ground this morning. The former Copacabana nightclub, which has been operating as Our Place nightclub for months, was reported to be on fire around 4:30 this morning. Firefighters arrived minutes later and found the structure engulfed in flames. 4 trucks were ultimately required to extinguish the blaze this morning. Fire Chief Superintendent Walter Evans described the property as unsalvageable. He said no one was at the club at the time, and thankfully there was no injury or loss of life. 9 women, 8 Jamaicans and a Bahamian were arrested at the property last September for allegedly violating decency laws. The owner, Dennis Palomino, was also charged in that incident. With just 5 days to go before the 2013 Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade, Junkanooers are battling it out in the various shacks, putting the finishing touches on their elaborate costumes. First out of the gate this year is New Year's Day champs, the Shell Saxon Superstars, who are determined to reclaim the crown with their exotic Indian theme. Tonight, Vonnie Took ventures into Saxon territory to give us a sneak peek.
They should be comfortable with the second place prize because we already have our first preserve.
There will be no place left for humans to hide when the golden elephants, Bengal tigers, sacred bulls, majestic cobras, and proud peacocks take over Bay Street on Boxing Day morning. After taking Junkanoo fans on a voyage to ancient Egypt back in January, 2013 New Year's Day Junkanoo Parade champions, the Shell Saxon Superstars, say this year they're paying homage to exotic India.
This theme encompasses centuries of Indian culture, from prior to the British, with the British, post-British. And so you will see a lot of Indian gods, a lot of animals associated with India.
Co-leader of the group, Philip Thompson, and his team has been in the shack around the clock perfecting the group's theme. This year, the Saxons will be first out of the gate. However, Thompson says they aren't the least bit concerned.
It doesn't matter what position you pick, you'll be on Bay Street by yourself. So you have to perform. The Valley won't be on the side of us, One Family won't be on the side of us. Any of the other groups won't be. They'll be looking at us, waiting for us to fail, and we don't intend to.
Along with a new Junkanoo season comes a new scoring system, which initially sparked outrage among some Junkanoo leaders. However, Thompson and senior group member Kingsley Pickering say they're just eager to put on a show like no other.
They've made the scoring system simpler. Everything is out of 100. So at the end of the day, I think the parade will be judged as a percentage out of 100. So Saxons get 99%. Valley get 10%.
And we can beat them in every category there is, and there'll be no stone left untouched. We don't have no problems. They can win the banner, the best costume, the best choreography, the best music, and the chips will fall where they lay.
Trash talk aside, Thompson says they'll give thousands of spectators something to remember.
It's going to be an exciting parade.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonnie Toot.